America is boring. Yeah, there are a few touristy areas that are kinda less boring, like New York, LA, Hawaii, and Las Vegas, but that's basically it. There may be a few downtown areas that look different, but the rest of the country looks like this. Canada is no exception, but at least they almost have good downtown areas. But you know where doesn't suck and where Americans go to get out of this mess? Yes, Asia and Europe. And since I haven't been to Europe, I'm gonna focus on China and Japan, where I have. American road design is terrible. When you look at this, what do you think it was made for? I mean, look at the sidewalk. Even though there is one, it doesn't mean that this is walkable in any way. And look at how kind they treat cyclists. Even if you do take public transit to your destination, it is still a slow option. And you still have to go through this wasteland after you get off at your stop. Compared to driving, walking, cycling, and public transit sucks. And these roads, they're everywhere, but they're so expensive to build and maintain. This interchange replacement that's being built in Metro Vancouver right now costs 87.5 million Canadian dollars to build. Even though they say they're building separated bike lanes and bus lanes, most of the price is still coming from the portion for cars. And maintenance costs for roads and freeways are also really high, but I don't want to explain it in this video. Many roads and highways in China and Japan may be wide and expensive to maintain, but at least they have good sidewalks with shade. And in China, they even have good cycling paths. In Asian major cities, driving is usually very unpleasant. Since most of their cities are very dense, there are many drivers in one area, so traffic is usually terrible, especially at rush hour. Even if driving is faster than public transport, people will still often choose public transit over driving because of the lack of parking. This is what parking looks like in a city of around 20 million people, compared to parking in a city of around 2 million people. Unsurprisingly, there is something right now that cities in Metro Vancouver like to make to pretend that they care about pedestrians and cyclists. Multi-use pathways, or whatever you call them, are so much less controversial than a bike lane that takes up road space. The only conflict with multi-use pathways is between the cyclists and pedestrians who have to use them. All you have to do to make a multi-use pathway is just to widen the sidewalk and put some paint and signs saying that it can be used by both cyclists and pedestrians. That way, drivers won't be mad that the part of the road for cars was given to bicycles. Of course, multi-use pathways are still better than nothing, but they shouldn't be all the bike infrastructure a city has. Canada and America aren't interesting. They're just plain brick buildings with giant parking lots that are mostly owned by giant companies. Small businesses are barely seen there. Places like China and Japan are so much different. First of all, there are rarely any boring brick buildings with giant parking lots. But without places to put their cars, how would they even transport their groceries? I personally don't know about Japan, but most places in China, there are grocery stores right outside your apartment or condo. Since it's so close to many people's homes, you can just get what you need when you need without having to buy a week worth of groceries at a time. Or there's the simple option of delivering your groceries right to your house. Thankfully, delivery in China mainly isn't done by cars, but done by electric mopeds. While our transit system in Vancouver is pretty good, it still kinda sucks. People here are very lazy because we're used to driving. Any form of walking and cycling seems unnecessary because why take public transit, walk, cycle when you can just drive? One transit stop also can't service as many people here in North America because everyone and everything is so spread out in suburbia. Even if you do have a transit stop nearby, literally everybody still chooses to drive if they can, because public transit here is slow compared to driving. Although transit-oriented development is popular here, people still choose to drive because of how good the driving experience is, compared to walking next to a tremendously loud road. Asia literally has some of the best transit systems in the world. Of course, you have the less developed places there, but all the developed big cities there all have some of the best metro and rail systems. And some bus networks there are also really good. It's not only the rail and bus networks in Asia that are good though. In North America, a transit card can be used on only one transit agency in normal cases. In Japan, however, one IC card can be used on so many transit agencies in different cities as well. In China, you don't even use a card. All you need is WeChat Pay or something and set up a metro and bus QR code to be scanned at the fare gate. After all of that, can America and Canada be fixed? Well, it's kinda hard to convince quite a few million idiots that cars, even electric ones, shouldn't be a part of their daily lives, and that they should take public transit, walk, and cycle instead. But many European countries did just that. So America could fix itself if their politicians didn't have ties to car and oil companies. Thanks for watching and goodbye.